right before I started singing, this huge, I think it was 7 feet tall, this huge wall fell on my head. And it made a loud banging sound. It hurt, but I didn't realize how much it hurt me until the next day. And I was kind of dizzy. But it's pretty much on tape. If you play the demo of us working on Dangerous, it was even recorded because, it's there.
All right, hey, it's Rob, and I'm here telling another little story about the time I spent working with Michael Jackson, basically during the recording of the album Dangerous in the early 90s. As I've stated before, I didn't work on the album, but I worked for the studio in the building where the album was being recorded. So when I tell these stories, there may be stories you've heard before or read about before, but I was actually there in the building when it happened. This is the day that became dangerous for Michael Jackson. When Michael Jackson recorded vocals, he was pretty secretive about it. He was shy. He didn't really want anybody to see him, watch him sing. He liked to kind of get in the zone and do it without any distractions or anybody looking over his shoulder. So what we started to do at the studio was to build these temporary walls. In the studio lingo, they're called gobos, and I'll show you a picture right here. And so a gobo was nothing else more than a temporary wall. I can't remember if ours had wheels on them or not. They may have. And sometimes you'll see they have windows, like in the picture I showed you. I don't believe we had any with windows. It's possible we did. My memory is that they were just 3-panel dividers that when you folded into like a C shape, they wouldn't fall over. They'd be on the ground and they'd be more or less stable as long as you didn't mess with them or bump into them. And that's where we get into the story here. On that day, I think we built 2 different layers of these gobos. So one here and one here, and kind of stacked them up together. Maybe put a little tape around them or something to try to make them a little safer, which didn't work. But I may have been the one who built it. I don't even remember on that day. But anyway, we built this little temporary structure for Michael to sing inside. When he sang, he liked to dance, and I think often they would record the sound of his feet hitting the floor. He might have been up on a little wooden platform too, I think. And it's possible, a long time ago. Anyway, they'd record the sound of his feet tapping on the floor. Sometimes they would add that into the song. Sometimes they wouldn't, but they would have it just in case it was an element they wanted to include. It was kind of how he got into the music, and it's kind of how he got into trouble that day. So again, we had these walls or these gobos stacked up. Ours were just kind of wooden panels with fabric in the middle. They usually have like insulation or something inside to deaden the sound. The point being that not only was it privacy for Michael and a little space for him to perform in, but it would make the sound of a big studio a lot smaller because you're putting walls around the person who is singing. So it makes it sound like a smaller, more intimate room. Anyway, I'm pretty sure they were tracking the song Dangerous on this particular day. And Michael was getting into it. He was doing a little bit of dancing and singing, starting this song. And as he was dancing, I think he backed up into one of these gobo walls, and the top one fell on his head. So at the beginning of this video, you heard the sound of that actually happening on this demo version of Dangerous you can find on YouTube. They actually incorporated the sound of the wall falling on Michael's head. Let's play that again. So at the time, this was not a funny thing, and I was surprised that they actually used the sound of Michael being injured, but he came around to the point where he could laugh at it. We weren't laughing on that day at all, and I played you that little quote from Michael in the beginning where he said he didn't know he was hurt or whatever till the next day. He was picked up by an ambulance. We weren't messing around. We were scared. He was kind of groggy, out of it. I don't remember that he was bleeding, but he certainly was very sore. And we sent him out in an ambulance, and, back then, no cell phones or whatever. We had to wait around and find out what happened to him. We figured he was probably okay, and turns out he was, but we had a big scare, and they got a big laugh out of it when they put that little bit with him getting bonked in the head at the end of the Dangerous demo.